Namaste Bitya, myself JVN Neha Saini from Physiotherapy and Diagnostics, Jyoti Vidya Peeth Women's University. Here I am going to tell you about the anatomy of liver and biliary apparatus. The liver is the largest gland in the body and has a wide variety of functions. The weight is about 1/50th of the body weight in adult and 1/20th of the body weight in infant. It is exocrine as well as endocrine organ. The exocrine part secretes the bile and the endocrine part secretes the albumin, prothrombin and fibrinogen. Functions of the liver includes secretion of bile and bile salts, metabolism of carbohydrate, fat and protein, formation of heparin and anticoagulant substances, detoxification, storage of glycogen and vitamins, activation of vitamin D. So the location of the liver is on the right hypochondrium, epigastric and up to the left hypochondrium. So it covers the three abdominal regions. Now this is the anterior view of the liver. Here we can see the right lobe. This is the right lobe. Cut edge of the falciform ligament. This is the falciform ligament. And diverging edges, cut edges of the superior part of the coronary ligament. So this is the coronary ligament. And fundus of the gallbladder can be seen over here. This is the fundus of the gallbladder. Now the surfaces of the liver and their relations and impressions. In the liver we have posterior inferior surface, which is the visceral surface because it is related with the different visceras. That is why it is also known as visceral surface. Then the superior surface, it is also known as diaphragmatic surface since it is under the cover of the diaphragm. This is the diaphragm. Then the anterior surface on the anterior side, posterior surface on the posterior side, and the right surface on the right aspect of the liver. So this is the posterior inferior surface, or we can say the visceral surface. Here we have the impressions for the renal, that is the right kidney. This is the colic impression, this is duodenal impression, this is gastric impression, and this is the tuberomental. Now the superior surface. If we view the liver from the superior side, this is the superior surface of the liver. Here we can see the right and the left lobes. These are all labeled in the diagram. Cut edges of the falciform ligament and the superior and the inferior parts of the coronary ligament. So coronary ligament is also demarcated in this diagram. Kindly see this. And the right and the left triangular ligaments are also there. Triangular ligaments are the continuation of the coronary ligaments. Bare area of the liver is there. What is bare area? Here there is no peritoneal covering is found on the liver. So this is the bare area of the liver. So bare area of liver is located at this point. This is the bare area of the liver. Groove for the inferior vena cava is there. In this groove the inferior vena cava lies, and there is caudate lobe for the liver, more or less wrapping around the groove for the inferior vena cava. There is fundus of the gallbladder. Now on the anterior aspect of the liver we have the diaphragm, right and left pleura and the lung, costal cartilage, Ziffert process, and the anterior abdominal wall. This is the anterior aspect of the liver, which is covered by the costal cartilages as we can see in the diagram. And then the pleura, costal pleura, and the mediastinal pleura is there, which is covering the liver. Diaphragm, anterior abdominal wall, all these structures are lying on the anterior aspect of the liver. Then these are the posterior relations of the liver. Here we can see the diaphragm, right kidney, right suprarenal gland, right on the transverse colon flexure, that is hepatic flexure on the right side, and the duodenum, gallbladder, inferior vena cava, esophagus, and fundus of the stomach. That is on the gastric impression, fundus of the stomach. So these structures are lying on the posterior surface of the liver. Then the lobes of the liver. On the anterior surface we have two lobes at the right and the left lobe, and on the posterior surface we have four lobes at the right, left, and quadrate and caudate lobe. So the separation of four lobes on the posterior surface of liver is because of right sagittal fossa. Right sagittal fossa contains the groove for the inferior vena cava above and fossa for the gallbladder. This is the groove for the inferior vena cava, and this is the fossa for the gallbladder. This is on the right side. So this forms the right sagittal fossa. Then on the left side there is left sagittal fissure, which contains the ligamentum venosum and round ligament of liver. That is, ligamentum venosum lies over here, and this is the In this fissure we have the round ligament of liver. Then there is transverse fissure. This is known as porta hepatis. Porta hepatis is containing the bile duct, portal vein and hepatic artery. So the right lobe is the largest lobe, as we can see in the diagram. It occupies the right hypochondrium. It is divided into anterior and the posterior sections by the right hepatic vein. It contains a radial lobe, extends as far as caudally as the iliac crest. Then the left lobe, it is varying in size. It lies in the epigastric and left hypochondriac regions, divided into lateral and medial segments by the left hepatic veins. Then right and left lobes, they are separated on the anterior side and as well as on the posterior side by the falciform ligament, ligament of venosum and ligamentum teres. So this is the caudate lobe. Here we can see what is the caudate lobe. This one is the caudate lobe. It is present on the posterior surface of the right lobe, and it has two processes, that is C process and papillary process. So C process is on the right side and papillary process on the left side. So the relations of the caudate lobe, inferiorly we have the porta hepatis, as we can see on the inferior side of the caudate lobe we have the porta hepatis. On the right side there is fossa for the inferior vena cava, and on the left side there is fissure for ligamentum venosum. Then this is the quadrate lobe. It is present on the inferior surface of the right lobe. Relations of this quadrate lobe, right on the inferior side of the quadrate lobe we have the inferior margin of the liver, and superior side we have the porta hepatis. On the right side there is fossa of the gallbladder, and on the left side there is fissure for ligamentum teres. This is the fissure for ligamentum teres. Now the porta hepatis, it is the hilum of the liver. It is found on the posterior inferior surface and lies between the caudate and the quadrate lobes. Lesser omentum attached to its margin. It contains bile duct, hepatic artery and portal vein. Most anterior structure is the bile duct and most posterior structure is the portal vein. Now the ligaments of liver. It includes the falciform ligament, ligamentum teres, hepatis, coronary ligament, right and left triangular ligament, hepatogastric, hepatoduodenal and ligamentum venosum. So falciform ligament of liver is consisting of double layer of peritoneal layer. It is sickle shaped and extends from the anterior abdominal wall to the liver. It has free border of the ligament which contains the ligamentum teres, that is the obliterated umbilical vein. Next is the coronary ligament. In the diagram we can see these are the two coronary ligaments. This is the falciform ligament. So the area between the upper and the lower layers of the coronary ligament is the bare area of the liver which contracts with the diaphragm. And then we have right and left triangular ligament. So these are formed by the right and left extremity of the coronary ligaments. So these are the right and left triangular ligaments. Then we have hepatogastric ligament, which is connecting the liver with the stomach. So here we can see this is the hepatogastric ligament and this is the hepatoduodenal ligament. Duodenal ligament means it is connecting the liver to the duodenum. Then the segmental anatomy of the liver. In the right and left lobes, anatomically there is no morphological significance. Separation by ligaments like falciform ligament, venosum and ligamentum teres. True morphological and physiological division is by a line which is extending from the fossa for the gallbladder to the fossa for the inferior vena cava. Each has its own arterial supply, venous drainage and biliary drainage. No anastomosis seen is between these divisions, and there are three hepatic veins: right, left and central. 8 segments. These are based on the hepatic and portal venous segments. So these are the 8 segments which are based on portal and the hepatic venous segments. Now the blood supply of the liver. Liver is supplied by the portal vein as well as hepatic artery. 80% supplies via the portal vein and 20% is by the hepatic artery. Proper hepatic artery, that is dividing into right and left hepatic arteries, enters the porta hepatis to supply the liver. The right hepatic artery usually gives off cystic artery which runs to the neck of the bladder to supply the gallbladder. Then venous drainage of the liver. The hepatic veins emerge from the posterior surface of the liver and drain into inferior vena cava. Then the lymphatic drainage of the liver. The lymph from the liver enters into the celiac nodes. Then this nerve supply. Sympathetic nerve supply is via the celiac plexus, that is the thoracic first to thoracic 12 spinal nerves. And then the parasympathetic innervation is via the vagus nerve, that is the 10th cranial nerve. The sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves form the celiac plexus. Anterior vagal trunk give rise to a large hepatic branch which passes directly to the liver. Then come to the applied ERCP, that is endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography. It is a technique that combines with the use of endoscopy and fluoroscopy to diagnose and treat certain problems of biliary or pancreatic ductal system. Through the endoscope, the physician can see the inside of the stomach and the duodenum and inject dyes into the ducts in the biliary tree and the pancreas so that can be seen on X-rays. ERCP is used primarily to diagnose and treat conditions of the bile ducts including gallstones, inflammatory strictures, leaks and cancer. So this is the ERCP diagram to show you how ERCP is functioning. So here we can see this is the endoscope entering into the stomach and then into the duodenum. Then it is entering into the duodenal opening of the pancreas. This is the camera in front of this probe. Next is liver cirrhosis. It is a complication of liver disease which involves loss of liver cells and irreversible scarring of the liver. Alcohol and viral hepatitis B and C are common causes of cirrhosis, although there are many other causes of this. Next is liver biopsy. It is a procedure in which a small needle is inserted into the liver to collect tissue sample. So here we can see how liver biopsy is done. The tissue is then analyzed in a laboratory to help doctors to diagnose a variety of disorders and diseases of the liver. In liver biopsy, it is the most often performed to identify the cause of persistent or abnormal liver blood test, unexplained yellowing of the skin, a liver abnormality found on ultrasound, CT scan or nuclear scan, or unexplained enlargement of the liver. In liver transplant is an operation that replaces patient's diseased liver with whole or partial healthy liver from another person. This is the next. This is your liver transplant. Then come to the biliary apparatus. It includes the gallbladder. Anatomical position of the gallbladder, it is in the epigastric right hypochondriac region and the tip of the 9th right costal cartilage. It is a green muscular organ, pear-shaped, hollow structure on inferior surface of liver. It is between the quadrate and the right lobes. It has a short mesentery and the capacity is 40 to 60 cubic meters and the dimension, it includes 10 centimeters long and 3 centimeter wide. Now it has fundus, body and the neck. The fundus is on the anterior abdominal wall. It is related to the anterior aspect. On the posterior aspect, it is related to the transverse colon. In the diagram we can see. Then the body. Body is the superiorly it is related to the liver and posterior inferiorly it is related to the transverse colon and the end of the first part of the duodenum. It begins at the second part of the duodenum. Then the neck. It forms the cystic duct and it is 4 centimeters long. Then we have the Hartmann's pouch. It lies between the body and the neck of gallbladder. A normal variation is found in this and it may obscure the cystic duct. If very large, it may see cystic duct rising from the pouch. Then these are the different locations for the lodgement of the stone from the gallbladder. Then this is the cystic duct. It is the length which is quite variable from 3 to 5 centimeters long and variations of the cystic duct and its point of union with the common hepatic duct are surgically very important during cholecystitis and cholecystectomy. Then these are the different locations of the cystic duct and the union of the cystic duct with the common bile duct. Then the arterial supply of the gallbladder. It is supplied by cystic artery, right hepatic, proper hepatic and common hepatic arteries. So here we can see the origin of the cystic artery. It is from the right hepatic artery. Then the venous drainage is into cystic vein which ends into portal vein. lymphatic drainage of the gallbladder. It terminates at the celiac group of lymph nodes. Cystic node is found at the neck of the bladder, and other lymph vessels also drain into hepatic nodes. Nerve supply is by the sympathetic and parasympathetic from celiac plexus. Parasympathetic innervation comes from the vagus nerve. Also, hormone like cholecystokinin from the duodenum causes constriction of the gallbladder. Then the common bile duct. It is the extrahepatic biliary system again. It is formed by the right and left hepatic duct. Right and left hepatic ducts combines to form common hepatic duct. Common hepatic duct combines with the cystic duct to form common bile duct. It is 7.5 centimeters long, descent in free edge of the lesser omentum. Lesser omentum is nothing but the peritoneal fold which is connecting the liver with the lesser curvature of the stomach. Then it has supraduodenal part, retroduodenal part, and retropancreatic part. So this is the CBD, that is the common bile duct. It is about 7 to 11 centimeters long and 5 to 10 millimeters in diameter. It has 4 parts: supraduodenal, retroduodenal. Supra means above the duodenum, retro means behind the duodenum, infra means below the duodenum, intra means inside the duodenum. It runs obliquely downwards within the wall of the duodenum for 1 to 2 centimeters before opening on a papilla of mucous membrane known as ampulla of Vater. So when CBD opens into the interior of the bladder, it creates an elevation at its opening. This elevation is known as major ampulla or ampulla of Vater. Major papilla or ampulla of Vater. The common bile duct enters into the second portion of the duodenum through a muscular structure known as sphincter of Oddi. So this sphincter of Oddi controls the secretions from the CBD. In the diagram we can see the sphincter of Oddi. This is again the sphincter of Oddi at the lower end of the CBD when it is opening into the duodenum. Now ampulla of Vater with CBD and pancreatic duct. Here we can see again ampulla is again the dilated part of the CBD. Now hepatopancreatic ampulla or ampulla of Vater is again seen through the interior of the duodenum over here in the second part of the duodenum. Here we can see this dilated part, that is the ampulla of Vater. Now the sphincters around the terminal parts of bile duct, pancreatic duct and the ampulla. There are 3 sphincters: sphincter of Cholecystocus, sphincter of Pancreaticus and sphincter of ampulla. Let's see how they are. At the end of the CBD, that is common bile duct, we have a sphincter of Cholecystocus, that is sphincter of Boyden. Then at the end of the pancreatic duct, we have sphincter for pancreatic duct. This is sphincter pancreaticus. Then at the end of this ampulla of Vater, we have sphincter of Oddi, that is hepatopancreatic Oddi, sphincter of hepatopancreatic ampulla. Now the blood supply. It is supplied by the branches from cystic artery, posterior branch of superior pancreaticoduodenal artery. Now the applied, it is the cholelithiasis and cholecystitis. Cholecystitis means the inflammation of the gallbladder. Cholelithiasis means stones in the gallbladder. It causes obstructive jaundice, gangrene, and some congenital defects are also present in the gallbladder. So here we can see the cholelithiasis means formation of stones in the gallbladder. So these are the cholelithiasis, gallstones. This is the obstructive jaundice. When the gallstone obstructs the passage of bile, it will causes the jaundice. This is known as obstructive jaundice. Now the questions related to this topic, it includes write short note on lobes of liver. So in this we have to discuss about the lobes. Next is ERCP. This is the endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography. In this we have to discuss about its techniques and its importance. Then this is the exercise. In this you have to draw both these diagram and label all the unlabeled structures in this. And the next is draw well-labeled diagram of the biliary apparatus. In this you have to discuss about the biliary apparatus, draw its diagram and use color as it is shown in the image. So this completes your topic, the